Hi guys, I'm back with another video, and this time I wanted to talk about a book. So this is going to be a book review video. During the summer I read the book The Priory of the Orange Tree. I really enjoyed it, so that's why I'm making a video about it. So I'm getting right into it. I made some notes on my phone, so yeah, I'll be using that a lot during the video because else I'm getting off track. The plot was very female driven. Two out of the main narratives were female characters who shared their feelings, their motives, their experiences, and they really had a heavy impact on the story and the way the plots moved, especially Eve, because she was really the active character who actively drove the plot towards the end, while characters like Nicholas and Artelot were very passive. Eve was also pretty passive, but she was kind of not within the main plot until later in the book. What I really liked about Ede and Tane is that they both fulfilled the orphaned protagonist trope, but they weren't really the "look at me, I'm so special" kind of characters. They had no family, but they still had friends they could depend on and allies who were able to help them out. In my opinion, they weren't really Mary Sue type of characters because they really had major flaws, especially Tane, because while she was very goal driven and ambitious, she was also very prideful and very set in her ways. But nonetheless, they were the plot in this narrative wasn't nice to them and really dealt them bad cards for bad decisions. So, about the world building. I like that it wasn't just Eurocentric. It took inspiration from different parts of the world, and the narrative also took place in different parts of the world. Like Artelot traveled a lot to different continents, and you really saw the first signs of the plot from his perspective. Ede was at the beginning in the Kingdom of Innis and traveled back to the Priory and then back to Innis and to the east. Tane and Nicholas were very centered in Saki, which is also in the east. So the narrative and the story wasn't just centered around one place, which usually is medieval Europe in most fantasy stories. So that was very refreshing and also really fun because I like to imagine different places in the world, and there's more place than just Europe in the medieval times. What I also really like is the way the equality was written, because power was divided between both men and women, and while there was still a form of duty and putting your life before or after the better good of the country, it wasn't just males who ruled and who hold the power in the higher government positions, which is great. Next, the way sexuality was written, also gender and stuff like that, it was very non-judgmental and a lot more in a human experience instead of a degrading one personality a character has, which I really liked because it was a lot more humanizing for LGBT characters, writing them as three-dimensional characters instead of a caricature of some kind. So that's what I really liked about the world building and the way the plot was written. So let's get to the next section, which is characters. So the characters were, in my opinion, very well rounded. They had their flaws, they had their inner demons that haunted them, they had shortcomings and inner conflicts and ways their past mistakes influenced their part in the story, which I really like, because they didn't feel like these idealized characters and felt like more real characters instead of those one personality trait people you see in some media. My favorite was Ede, and my least favorite was Nicholas. Artelot, while I liked his chapters, he was kind of a forgettable character. He was one of those characters you forgot he was there until you came to his chapter, and they were fun and interesting, don't get me wrong. His characters contributed a lot to the world building aspect of the setting and the story, but him as a character didn't leave a big impact on me as a reader. Well, Ede and Sabran's story left a big impact. With Tane, I felt she was getting the short end of the stick, because her character didn't go to a major character arc during the span of the book, because at the end of the story I felt hers was the only one left unfinished, because while most of the characters had some form of fulfillment and an end of their character arc, or at least end of a chapter from their character arc, Tane didn't really have that. With her, I felt like it all just accumulated into her starting something new, but she didn't get the reward from it, which is kind of disappointing in my opinion. Nonetheless, she was one of the characters who had the most badass aspect, and I really enjoyed some of her chapters, especially the ones when she became a dragon rider, her time at this island of the scholars. While she can be hard to read sometimes because some of her chapters were a bit difficult, she was an interesting character, and I really just hoped to read more about her, because she didn't get a lot of attention in the books. Well, Ede, for example, she got a lot of attention, which is great because I liked her character, but also frustrating because some of the other characters didn't get as much attention. So the positives of this book, in my opinion, was first of all that the lesbian love story between Ede and Sabran was very well written. It was like a normal romance arc. That's the thing. It was a normal romance arc, and it wasn't shoehorned in because of representation. It was written as a human experience between two consenting adults, not a prop that drives the story, which in my opinion is great, because we need more human normalized gay and lesbian and other kind of relationships without it being used as a prop or stuff like that. And I want it written as a normal relationship instead of something that's hyped up because of representation, because that for me that's the key difference. Another positive part, which can also be a negative, is that it's only one book, and while it's a really thick book, it's only one book. The positive part of that, you don't need to buy 3 to 5 books to know the ending, because once you're done, you're done. The negative part is that some aspects left to be desired. Some of the world building is not as detailed as I would have liked it. Some characters didn't get a fulfilling character arc, like Tane. So, well, it has a positive side that you're not spending €100 or something like that for 3 to 5 books. It does leave some stuff hanging, which is kind of frustrating. Another pet peeve I had with the story, and that's more of a pet peeve instead of a negative one, they used some Dutch words and names, and since I speak Dutch, I know what they mean, and sometimes I was like, why would you write it that way? I'll use it like that. I mean, Zeder isn't exactly a very nice thing to have as a last name. It's more of a place name, and even then it's weird. Why would you call something Zeder? So yeah, overall I would definitely recommend the book. It's a really fun read, in my opinion, and I did had some finished book melancholy depression when I finished it, because I really enjoyed it. So definitely recommend you reading it as well. So hope you guys enjoyed it, and see you guys in another video maybe. Bye!